I'm a small business owner who has never really run paid ads at all. And 7 years in, I'm starting to think, oh gosh, should I do that? If you are in the same boat as a team leader, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you're debating whether or not to add paid traffic into your repertoire, you're going to want to watch this video because I certainly don't have the answers, but I sat down with an expert who does. In this excerpt from an interview with my friend Naomi, we went through how to assess whether or not you're ready for paid traffic and what you need to do to get started. Whether you're a complete ads beginner or if you're someone who's been doing it a while but trying to assess whether it's worth continuing, you're going to get a lot out of Naomi's process where she breaks down exactly how to know if ads are worth doubling down on or revising or something in between. With that, let's get started.
My name is Naomi. I am the co-founder of ScaleWave. We specialize in helping brand selling on Amazon between 6 and 7 figures, especially. And today's topic is really top of mind because this is an absolutely amazing thing to talk about, even if you are on Amazon, if you're not. So I'm more than excited to start talking about the topic.
And I want to start at the very beginning. In your expert opinion, Naomi, how would you assess the starting point? How do you know when to start even asking this question of, is paid worth considering?
The word that you described is exactly that, assess. So we are going to audit whatever it's available to us and whatever it's not. It's really, really important because you have a wishful thinking that is like, yes, you're aiming towards success, but still we have to be stable in understanding what do we have and what is the expected outcome based on whatever we have. Because that can go wildly successful or it can be wildly wrong just because we are not considering a few. And actually, there are 5 steps that we have to consider before even moving forward with the process. The paid traffic, the whatever you're generating traffic still.
All right, well, let's dive into step 1. Where do we begin?
So first off, we have to assess inventory. And here I'm talking from an Amazon's perspective because we're helping brand selling on Amazon. But inventory really is like, if you had demand, can you actually supply that? Right? And inventory, it can be either time. So it's either your time, either someone else's time on your team, right? If you have right away the right amount of inventory, high quality inventory. So why are those things really important to ask first is because what we want to do is when we are bringing traffic to wherever we're bringing traffic, we want to bring the best eyeballs to whatever it's the best part of us, right?
I could see people spending years
Right.
just tinkering with the inventory. Is there a point where you're like, this is what good enough looks like? Or is this
That's
something
going
that you
to
can use
bring us
data
into
for?
steps 2, actually. Yeah, I
Oh,
love it.
perfect.
I love it.
We
This is
planned
why you're
this.
thinking like as a process. Yes, love it. Yeah. The second step is going to be, all right, so is my listing optimized? And here, listing optimized, what I mean by whatever you are going to sell, is that good enough? Again, getting back to the example with me, like probably if I would have not had my contacts in, I would be completely blind. I couldn't see, right? If I didn't have just a bit of like red, cheeks, probably again, I would look just like a dad. So it's going to be really, really important for us to ensure that whatever we want to bring the eyeballs at, it's optimized like at the highest standard at what is comparison. Make sense? So today you're
Yeah.
my comparison, you're the live person. So do I look at least as live as you are? And
Oh, yes,
thankfully check mark.
definitely.
So I might find it I might make it just a bit like funny, but really it's optimization. Whatever you are bringing the traffic to, it has to be at least as well optimized to your competitors.
So what I'm hearing is using AI as a coach through some of this decision making,
Right.
because as you pointed out, this seems like one where some of us could get completely derailed. But speaking
Right.
of derailed, I derailed us. So let's go back. What is step 3 in this
Step 3,
journey?
I love it. That was really powerful and it was good. So step 3 is going to be in Amazon, it's called break-even ACOS. And here,
Mm,
basically, in any other terms, it's going to be, all right, how much do you want to sell the product for? How much is
mhm.
going to cost you to fulfill it? And what is going to be the net profit margin? And once that you
Got it.
know that, you would divide that by 100. So you're going to end up with a percentage. Now, this is very specific to whenever you're going to drive traffic to that is like CPC, cost per click related, right? Since our listeners, they are not, they're just like, okay, this is my business. Break even ACAS might not be applicable for me. The way how you should think is like, how much can you afford to pay
Mm,
until you're zeroing out?
Mm-hmm.
And then anything that is underneath is going to be profit. Anything that is above is negative profit. So
Got
that's
it.
going to be the next step. Once that you know that number, then you can say, okay, now one more step further in understanding once I'm going to start this, what are my
Mm-hmm.
expectations and how can I calculate if the route that I'm taking is going to help me get there? Because what we want to get is like profitable sales, right?
Right.
So kind of like that is the process there.
From there, what is our fourth step in the journey? Let's say we get that number. I know I can afford up to $40, let's say, for a customer. What do I do with that information?
Then we're going to assess skill set. And skill set, this is something that 99.99% of people, especially small business owners, they are just totally like, oh, I need skills to like acquire. Yes. So yes, you do need skills. And there are like two different routes of skill set. Either you're going to gain skill set in you are going to learn by yourself how to run your ads. Either you're going
Mm,
to have expertise. Freelancers, um, in-house or agencies or so on. But here there are two ways. You would have
mhm,
to assess which one are you. And then based on that, to gain the skill set. So, for example, let's say 5 years ago when we started on Amazon and we sold our own product, I was like, okay, I don't necessarily have the money. I also have the interest. Let's do it. And I'm going to invest my time. So I'm going to
mhm,
understand, right? Probably this is also how you like, okay, I don't have just a business because I want to have a business, but you developed expertise, and based on that expertise, you
right.
created a business. So here as well,
Mm,
most people forget that you need a certain level of skill set in order to do well whatever you're doing. So it's
mhm,
going to be either you're investing your time, either you are borrowing someone else's time expertise. There's no right or wrong. It's just think of it, how quick do you want to get to the station, right? If you're
mm,
going to learn on your own, it's highly likely that you're going to do the mistakes just because you have the disadvantage of starting on someone else's game who already they're winning the game. It's completely
mm,
fine. Whenever you have an expertise there, the next skill set that you have to develop here is not only that you're hiring someone, but knowing the right questions to ask whenever you're hiring someone, because you have expectations, and whatever you see outside is like, oh yes, someone hired XYZ company and they help them and so on and so forth. And what you might end
mhm,
up, you're hiring the wrong person. And you, Layla, know that
mm,
especially most of the time business owners are going to completely forget how much is the risk of the bad
mm.
hire, you know?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that those two are going to be the things, one of the skills that you will have to learn, basically.
So we need to get skills one way or another, either rent them or build them or collect them for ourselves in that case. You mentioned though there are these questions. You know I'm going to ask this. You
Yeah.
mentioned some questions that you might want to ask if you're looking to rent skills, meaning get an expert, get an agency, get some support. Can you give us a hint or two of what some good questions might be if we're in the position where we're like, "You know what? I could learn this, but I don't have, the 100 hours to become proficient. I'd rather get somebody else's." What are the questions that you suggest people, use?
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I just put together a thorough video about this topic just because
Oh,
I made so many times the mistakes of hiring the wrong people. And then I was like, oh, shit,
mm.
I did it again, you know? Mainly,
I
what I
cannot relate
noticed,
at all. No,
right?
never.
And after 2 years, like crickets, and they're still there, and it's like, I just consumed like $50,000 on someone that I shouldn't. And you're going to consider, oh, should I take like Layla's course for $30? Oh, that's too expensive. So one of those things.
Ooh, I forgot to say something. As you might have noticed, this is a clip from a longer conversation. So I actually talked to Naomi for about an hour as we went in all these nerdy rabbit holes. And this is just a short excerpt of that conversation. For the full version, make sure you go through our Foundations program found in the description below. That program is my signature program that has helped over 2,000 small teams systemize their operations from A to Z. So check that out if you want more content like this in its full form. All right, let's get back to the interview.
At this point, you should be starting. Does not matter, like, gather the enough information of either you're going to learn on your own, either you're going to outsource this.
Mhm.
Once that you get that information, start. There's never going to be a perfect step. Just start, and then based on that, you're going to assess if it works or not. And here we're going to come down to numbers, and we're going to see, okay, let's go back to our break-even ACOS or lifetime value of the customer, and if it's worth it or not, or if it's worth it
Mhm.
for us or not, and understanding that. So we started running ads at this point, and then we get data. And based on the data, we're going to take the decision to optimize whatever is next, right? So
Mm.
here, actually, what you're paying service providers or freelancers or consultants is that their ability to gather data, understand data, explain how does that data is going to affect your business in a positive, negative way, and then help you decide what's next. That is where the money
Mm.
goes in skills and expertise.
Yeah.
Data, when it comes down to if you're going to analyze the data, those are the four pillars that you would have to answer, right?
Mm.
So, does it work the same way that I expected? Then troubleshooting. Is this something on a technical end that I missed and that's why it's not
Mhm.
working? Um, or did I not give enough time? Because you were mentioning also time, and
Mhm.
here it really depends on the process. For example, to be first, it's like,
Yeah.
let's say you're going to I don't know, you're going to a restaurant, and how much you're going to bribe to get in.
We're bribing the hostess.
So bribing the hostess. So that is going to be the how much you're willing to pay in order to show up first, and
Mhm.
that can become very like a range of like very, very different range depending on the industry, depending whatever you're targeting, depending the keywords, how broad they are, and so on. But just
Mhm.
like really stupid dumbing down as much as possible. How much are you willing to pay to show
Mm.
up to for your ideal customer to get you? Makes
Mm.
sense.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
here, the
Yep.
ideal customer, it would be if you're going to a restaurant and you're meeting someone, maybe you're on a blind date, how much are you willing to pay to actually see that person, you know?
How optimistic are you about that blind date? Yeah,
I
that
love
makes
it. But it
that
is
makes
a
a lot
blind
of
date if
sense.
you're thinking that way, because you don't know until you're optimizing and you're, actually, I should have a better selection, because like these are the people that I've seen and like they're not the right fit. It's exactly the same way with ads.
Except it sounds like but with ads, you've got a lot of variables you can play with. You can change the restaurant. I mean, you can change
Yeah.
what platform you're advertising on. You can change what
Right,
you're wearing. You can change your
right,
creative, and you can also change your bribe.
right. Again, you're
Or
going to have
yeah.
a list, yeah, to understand which one to prioritize, because then this is why I was saying it can be a technical issue. So if the
Mm.
date does not show up, is it because you're meeting at a different restaurant, right? So
Yes.
so
Can
it
you
first
break
off,
that down? Yeah.
yes, sure thing. So first off, we want to understand if technically everything is set up right. Because if that is not, that is why you would pay expertise, for example, and that is how
Mm.
you're paying in hours in you learning yourself, right? Because
Mhm.
let's say like in your industry, whenever like first off, how I found you, Layla, is like I was starting with ClickUp 4 years ago, 5 years ago,
Mhm.
and it's like, okay, I'm total newbie. I have no clue how to ClickUp works. And then I ended up spending like hours and hours until I understood ClickUp. And then it's like, all right, this is enough for me. I don't need to learn more, like more, 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 more. So once that you have that enough, then you have one like certain knowledge base. So here as well, once that it's enough, then you're going
Mhm.
to troubleshoot. Okay, do I have the technical skill to create a task, for example in ClickUp? I do.
Right.
Do I have the
Mhm.
technical skill to set up the right landing page? Do I have the technical skill of when it comes down to Amazon ads to actually ensure that eyeballs are coming to my listing it's there
Mhm.
up? Because if the listing is not up and it's not available to sell, it doesn't not matter if you're running ads, the ads are
Mhm.
not going to show. Makes sense?
Mhm.
So the technicality aspect of it, this is where I see most people are really like, why should I pay you $3,000 to consult me, or like 15,000 or so on? You're paying for my expertise to learn from my mistakes.
And, I wanna double click on something here. This whole thing about skill set and all of the pieces, I think some people, Naomi, will be listening to you and they'll be like, "Holy shit, that's a lot of stuff that we need to go through." But I think that's one of the beautiful things about renting expertise. You're not just renting your 5 years or your 10 years or your 15 years of experience. You are also renting a process. So
Mm,
if you did this in-house and we think about ClickUp, right? Or whatever your tool of choice is, all of these steps are things you need to do, create, proof, revise, edit, and then test and iterate on. That is part of what you're paying for when it comes to service providers. They're doing all the project management. They have the flow for, in this case, skill. And sometimes for us, the best thing we can do is just treat skill as a black box and say, you know what, this thing, rather than mapping out the 4,700 steps that ScaleWave has perfected for doing this, I'm probably better off just renting that or, hiring someone for that skill set, which I really like as kind of a mindset.
Right, exactly. And think of it that way that so you just touch based on something really important. I think as a
Oh,
small business owner, um, the most important thing for you is going to be where the attention goes, because you have time, and time
mhm,
follows whatever you're investing your time in, and that is an
mhm,
asset that is we cannot buy back time on our own, so
mhm,
we're going to buy someone else's time,
mhm,
and yes, you might be able to make mistakes, yes, you might be able to, it's not the right fit and you learn, but the one thing that as a small business owner you have to understand is you're getting out of the comfort zone, which is like working for someone
mhm,
else. Now you have to think of how to make this work as quick as possible for you, because there is a limited amount of time, like thank God, at least like 100 days, let's hope for that, you have on this earth. Make it work as quick
mhm,
as possible.
mhm.
Always think of the opportunity cost before doing any further steps. Yeah.
Well, speaking of learning, I have a feeling folks watching this are like, okay, I really want to hear more about ScaleWave. I want to learn more from Naomi. This is amazing. Can you just to round us out here, tell us where people can go to learn more from you and to kind of dive more into this world if maybe they're looking to assess that skill step of the equation?
Sure thing. So the easiest way is LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm creating there like a lot of content daily. I'm trying to post educational content, maybe strategic content, and
That's crazy to
also
me. Can I just say daily on LinkedIn? You are
yes.
whoa.
So LinkedIn, right? Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, or you can check us out on scalewave.io and yeah, see if we're a good fit or so on. I think that the most important takeaway is going to be the same way how you, Layla, have been given for this past, I don't know, X 10 amount of years. It's less than 10, but like I'm exaggerating. You are given education on the same level. I want to ensure that whoever is like going to through my all my LinkedIn posts or all my YouTube content right now, it's going to
Mhm,
get the same education, because I so
mhm,
badly want to accelerate your success. It's so
mhm.
hard to be successful at things. And that's kind of what I do.
That's so great. There's so many quotes from this I want to pull out, but my favorite so far, just to wrap us up, is that you need the data, even though sometimes it will be painful. I love
Yep.
that concept. And everyone, if you are watching this and you're like, gosh, I want to get all those links, we will put all the links in the show notes or whatever you can find around where this video gets published. Naomi, thanks again for your time today. And that'll wrap us up.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on. Let's do this once again in the future.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Oh my gosh, I'm still writing notes from that. If you were anything like me, you have a pile of notes from that interview. If you wouldn't mind, share them in the comments below to help others understand your takeaways. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, leave me a comment below to let me know. And to learn more about Naomi and ScaleWave, find her information in the description below this video. Thanks so much for watching. Watch this video next. And until next time, enjoy the process.